Oh, hello.
Hello.
I think we're there, Alice.
I'm certainly here.
I'm seeing green lights light up when I speak. Do you want to have a go as well?
Yes, I'm talking as well. I think the camera's having trouble determining which of us is real, which is good.
It is not. It's not me. It's Dancy Lagard is the only real one they're looking for. Right. Hello, everybody. Watched the test earlier. It was great. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so you can post live comments in the chat.
Please do. It'll make us more conscious that you're watching and that we're not just talking into the wall.
Yes. Which would be. I mean, we could have a go.
Yeah.
We are prepared to do that for you guys. This is the launch party, or part of the launch party season.
Yes.
Of A Passion for Passion. We did a live show with Andy at the Bill Murray in Islington
last night. That was very nice. And now we've got this now, and then I'm going on tour.
Focus.
Your camera's haunted.
I know it is haunted. Yeah. What is at least does it do the one that yours does on?
Oh no, mine zooms. If you do, I think this just goes out of focus. Do we need to pretend that we have one hideous face together? Do we have to be closer?
No. I think if you keep filling, I'm going to play with the camera settings.
I will happily fill. Welcome. So the point is, I'm doing a tour of shows that I have written that are about the book, which you can come and see in various places in the UK now, including London. There will be a London show on the 1st of March.
Okay.
There'll be
don't move.
Okay. On the 1st of March at the Clapham Omnibus Theatre. Because I was conscious that there wasn't a London date, and so now there is a London date. But I'll be all up and down the country in various places, which you can find at thebuglepodcast.com. Do you have my tour dates? No. At alicefraser.com, you can find my tour dates.
I think we've got a link on our site, but go to Alice's site.
Yeah.
What she said.
Either way, whatever you prefer. There's also a book you can buy.
Yeah.
Which is called A Passion for Passion, and it is launched. This is the Bugle's first book. This is it. What do they do on? That's what they do on TikTok and stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's real.
Real. I don't know. It's sort of half ASMR, half showing off their manicure,
right,
and half showing you that it's not. Yeah, a filter, an imaginary AI.
We haven't faked this book.
Check that it's real gold. It's all gold, comedy gold. So have we figured out the camera?
Yeah. Well, no. Is the truth, but I think
if I'm vaguely central.
Yeah. If you're vaguely central, it'll focus on you.
Makes sense.
Right. Okay. So as you said, first Bugle book.
Yes.
We've only been doing this for 18 years or so now. So we took our time, but we've got there. It's written by Alice. It's fantastic. You're going to hear little bits of it in this live stream. We're also going to do some games, which we're going to invite you to play as well. I think I would just like to say thank you to all the buglers, all the garglers, all the last posters who got involved. There was, we started this project about 2 years ago.
Yep. Yeah, they said, can you write it by September 2023 is the deadline. And I went straight from Edinburgh to a small house in Italy, and I got a babysitter, and I just wrote like a maniac for a month, and then I handed it, and then I was thinking it would come out on Christmas, but I don't know anything about publishing, and it turns out, and I was like, they said, Valentine's Day, and I was like, okay, Valentine's Day, fine, I finished it in September, it comes out on Valentine's Day, and they said, no, February 2025, and I lost my mind, but now we're here, and I found it again.
It's very real, yeah.
Is the game? Do we make them do the Lost Duke, the Where's Wally page?
Oh, we could do that, yeah.
just hold it there.
Who can find it? Who can find it?
Where is he? Where is he? The Easter egg in this is that Dancy Lagard is hiding in the picture.
Where are they?
Hey, there's the monocle.
Ah, there we go.
There's the monocle.
Now, these guys, many of them got on board in advance. If you're one of the people who's credited in the book, it's lovely to see you guys. I'm going to give some names of some people who have got their names in the book. Minerva and Saffron are in the book. They're cats.
Apparently, it's trying to put a background behind us, and that's why it's looking so drunk.
Oh, really? Should we
I
put?
don't know if that's true. That's just what one of the commenters said, and I believe everything I read on the internet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so do I. Which is why I'm prepared to believe that we had a duchess, a countess, a major general, and the Fartmans all
Oh,
get
they're
their
our
names in the book.
sponsors.
Yep. Clark Kent,
Yes,
real name.
could be.
Rodney Funk.
Not a real name.
Christ Bingo.
Definitely a real name.
Alice is a star.
Not a real name, but an essential truth.
What about Jesus H. Richard M. Nixon Christ?
I didn't know those were his middle names.
Yeah, they were. So let's talk about the beginnings of Dancy.
Yes, the beginnings of Dancy Lagard were probably when I was about 10. We went on holiday to the snowy mountains in Australia, which are not particularly snowy mountains by European standards. They are mountains that are very occasionally snowy in winter, but in summer they are quite nice. And we went to a B&B, and it had a bookshelf in it that was, you know how holiday place bookshelves are just all the books that you would you want to read, but you don't want to bring them home. They're sort of mistress books, books that people really enjoy reading, but they don't want to shamefacedly display in their own home bookshelf, so they leave them at the B&B. A lot of Michael Crichton's, a lot of Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code spelled out in Da Vinci Code copies, and sports biographies, and then ghost-written sports autobiographies, and then presumably autobiographies of the ghostwriters of sports biographies. My Life as Shane Warne's Conscience, and Mills and Boon novels, romance novels. And my brother and I would drive each other. The background doesn't work with curly hair. It just gets very confused.
I'm just wondering if it will stay in focus,
edges
though.
Of my head are.
Let's see if this works better for like 30 seconds.
All right, sure. Why not? I'm already disoriented and jet lagged.
And now you're back in the sky.
And now I'm having crises of confidence about what is real and what isn't. My brother and I would read the backs of these romance novels to each other and try to drive each other into hysterical frenzies because they're incredible. I mean, these are the classic clinch cover, Fabio front, Mills and Boon from the 90s. You've got your Greek billionaire's secret baby. You've got your dolphin tamer's lost bride. It's incredible stuff, and we would just go absolutely mental. So when I started doing the last post and we started doing ads, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have to do so much stuff this year. It's 366 days worth of content. What can I do infinity of? And it's the back covers of romance novels that have formed like part of the substratum of my conscience, of my consciousness. And so I started writing them, and the audience really clicked for whatever reason. And then Dancy Lagard was born.
Yeah. And Dancy works on the last post, worked on the Gargle, works on Realms Unknown, works on the Bugle, worked in a live show that we tried a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Worked last night on stage.
Yes.
So maybe we should give the people here a little chance to hear a synopsis from Dancy. Do you want to start with a synopsis, maybe?
Yes. Someone says, please consider a Manchester gig too. We were trying to line up a Manchester gig, and the venue didn't get back to us. So sucks to be you. Venue
Manchester.
In Manchester.
What's wrong with you?
I will do a reading from this book. This is The Crystal Staff. Crystal Throne 2, Two Thrones, Two Crystalline. As all good content is a sequel. It falls under the category of romantasy carnival family drama. The Crystal Staff is the next installment of Dancy Lagard's Borders of Wingadrom series of supernatural thrillers with an excellent twist. A heroine full of sassy spunk and secret longing, a hero full of massive muscles and also spunk. Bear is a small medium working in a large circus. She's in disguise as a simple charlatan, a comforting fortune teller, and a gardener. But her disguise disguises a deeper truth. She's actually a seer, half social worker, half witch. She's a real medium disguised as a fake medium, giving people relationship advice in the guise of prophecy while ignoring her own virginity until she realizes that the tall, dark stranger she keeps seeing in her crystal ball is her secret destiny, and the biggest danger is to her heart. Lonathan is tall, dark, and a halfling, a prince, the half-heir to a ruthless warlord seeking to prove his own bloodthirstiness to his brutal father and earn the Bone Throne, the throne of bone his father sits on. He is in constant internal conflict between his warring natures as a half-dryad and half-warlord. His pacifist leanings and love of flowers undermine any satisfaction he might feel doing his day job of constant murder. Until one day he goes to the circus and meets Bear, and his life will never be the same again. He's a mass murderer with a heart of gold. She's a virgin who can't ride. There you go.
That's lovely. So that is very much in the fantasy realm.
Yes.
That story there. Not all Dancy is. I love the way that you can be so playful with horniness and fantasy. The two genres just couple up so nicely, don't they?
I mean, romantasy is this just wildly taken off in the last few years, and I assume that that's because everyone had the same early adulthood and late teenagehood as I did, which is reading the Dragon Riders of Pern up the back of the bookshop, or the Dragon Riders of Porn, as I like to call it. Look, I just think they go so well together because they're both like they take human emotions and real things, the real ways that people relate to one another, and then they just twist the dial up until it breaks off. You know, so instead of the subtle interplay between people where she might come home from work and be like a little bit distant, and then he has to pay attention to her, but he doesn't, so she goes into the bedroom and has a bit of a cry. Instead of that, he neglects her in their marriage, so she runs off and is kidnapped by brigands, and he has to chase her down on horseback and then kill some brigands, and then they bang in a cave. And it gives you like the big foam rubber handles to deal with the small human realities.
Whereas, like, in truth, if you did get rescued and you did escape to a cave, the last thing in real life you'd want to do is bang. But as part of a story arc, it really works.
Yeah. It does. And also, you know, abs.
How many abs? What's the most abs you've given a character?
I think 18.
18 abs. It's not bad. There's another thing in that reading that I really like, which I absolutely love about sci-fi. Does it a little bit, but fantasy does it the best. And that is take a normal name like Alice or Chris and just change a letter or two, and that's now a perfectly normal name.
Well, there was a trend in like a late 90s fantasy where they would just give the characters normal names, and it really doesn't work.
No.
So
Barry mounted his unicorn. It just doesn't work. Yeah. Okay, so we should talk a little bit about romance and its role in fiction as well. You sort of then almost admitted it was like a bit of a guilty secret for you, sort of like, you know, hiding reading these books. Romance sells really, really well.
Yep.
Why have people been so sneery? I think it's probably a fair way to describe romance over the years.
Okay, so my first encounters really with romance, other than the Backs of the Mills and Boons, a couple of years later, we had a room in our house called the dark room, which was because the lights never worked and my parents were bad at changing light bulbs. But up the back of the dark room was a tall cupboard and a pile of mattresses in the corner, and you could climb up the mattresses and onto the tops of the cupboards. It was an insanely dangerous thing to do in the dark, but it gave you a little cubby house. And I encountered a cardboard box up there that was full of Georgette Hare books that were covered in Easter egg wrappers. So my mum, they'd had these hideous clinch covers on them. So my mum had covered them in Easter egg wrappers because they were like little sweets, little treats. And so I found this secret stash of Georgette Hare books, and that was like this like secret that had been passed down to me from my mum. And I read those books, and then when I got to university, I kept encountering people, like smart women, like geniuses in their fields, who would say, oh, it's my guilty pleasure, romance is my guilty pleasure. And I was like, why guilty if it's such a pleasure? And I realized, you know, there's not a good reason. The main reason is that they are traditionally written by women and for women and about women's pleasure. And we all know real literature ends with some adulteress being dead in a ditch with syphilis. That's what, you know, real literature is marked by women's misery. It can't be it can't be taken seriously if she's swept off her feet by a cowboy who's interested in her small business.
And you say this in the book, I think, and we talked about this a bit last night. I think you make a very good case for, is any of this any more ridiculous really than a boy reading Sherlock Holmes or Sherlock Holmes, maybe not the best example, but Bond or someone ludicrous like that?
Well, I think that's the fear. The fear is that with romance novels, it will lead women astray, right?
Yeah.
Most of the hysteria about books in history is that it will make women weird in the vagina.
I mean,
And
the fact they use
romance-
the term hysteria as well.
Well, exactly. But like everything from the invention of novels, straight up novels, and anything not the Bible, there was panic that it would make women lustful and horrible. And I think there's this idea that women will read it and believe that that's what life is really like, that they're going to, so that on one hand there's the threat that a woman will turn you down because you're not fingering her on horseback
with your 18 abs.
with your 18 abs, that you can't live up to this standard. But I mean, it's not less realistic that a man will come along and want to give you orgasms than that you could punch a man in the back of the head and he'll fall down for 20 minutes conveniently, allowing you to pass the security of the vault and then not have any brain damage at all.
No.
So
I get it. I completely buy it. That last point you make, so talking of classic tropes, you have a new podcast out as well, just because you wanted to really multiply stuff.
This week, my dad got married. My son turned 1. I flew from the UK, from Australia to the UK. My new podcast launched. My book came out, and I still have to write the tour show, which opens on Friday.
Have you heard of Chat GPT? So in Realms Unknown, we have a trope section in the show, don't we? If you haven't, so Realms Unknown, if you haven't yet discovered it, it is where all you get your usual podcasts. It's also on this YouTube channel as well. You can have a watch and enjoy it. And
it is so much fun. You have to, I mean, you don't have to listen to it, but you can hear my twin brother recommending a book, which is the highlight. No, you should do it. Seriously, it's so much fun. It's so in my wheelhouse. It really makes me feel incredibly happy, and I feel like I can now write off my misspent youth on tax.
Yeah. A pleasure to be a part of it. Yeah.
I used to skip class and go to the library and just read terrible, trashy sci-fi and fantasy and romance novels, to the point where the poor library ladies gave me a badge.
Oh.
I was such a nerd.
Oh.
I was the roving library monitor.
God, I didn't really think about it, because we were giving people buying books last night, and I was giving them badges like they were our own Bugle library monitors. Let's play a game. Play a game.
All right, let's play a game.
So this is something that it'd be nice to play the. Do you want to do the Dancy versus real or not?
Yes.
Dancy versus Romancy.
Dancy versus Romancy. This is where you, the audience, have to guess, or Chris, do you want to guess whether something?
I will play along, but I will probably be led by the comments section.
Okay, you can be the stand-in for the audience.
Yeah.
You can tell me if this is a Dancy Lagard plot, or if this is the plot of a real-life romance novel that exists in the world and has been purchased by human beings. Basically, I want you to play this game because I want you to realize how difficult a genre this is to satirize. Book 1. This is Albert Earl of Grayling is dead, but nobody knows except his twin brother Edward. Edward, whom everyone in England thinks was the one killed by a gorilla during the twin brothers' African safari, which they think that that Albert was killed because actually Edward has come home pretending to be Albert.
Right.
So because it's an altruistic move. He's not just trying to become the Duke. It's because Albert's wife has had many miscarriages.
Right.
And
feel for her.
And he in his dying wish is that she doesn't have another miscarriage out of the shock of his death. So he's asked his twin brother to pretend to be him.
Okay.
And she's all of a sudden like, why am I suddenly attracted to my husband? Which I wasn't before. But he won't sleep with her, which she's worried is because he thinks that she's ugly because she's pregnant. But actually it's because he's too noble to bang his dead twins' wife under false pretenses.
Okay, so the
Don't ask questions. Tell me
No.
if it's real or not. Is this a Dancy Lagard or is this a real book?
well, I'm gonna pay some respect to Dance here. I think there are plot holes here that Dancy would not allow in. Quite simply. So I'm looking at the comments here, and there is a general strong vibe of real here. Colette, yes, completely bats, but real. That's where I'm going.
Yep.
Dancy would not write those holes in the storyline. So
This is the Earl Takes All. From the Hellions of Havisham series. It's book 2 in the Hellions of Havisham series by Lorraine Heath. It is notorious in the historical romance world and it's known as the Gorilla Twins book.
Wow. Does book is book 1 the book where the gorilla attack happens, or is that
book 1 is where the gorillas get together? Okay, next question.
Okay.
Book 2. It's about a tattoo artist who gets commissioned to tattoo a tentacle on a man's penis. They have sex, which I assume is a grave breach of penis tattooist ethics. And then she finds out that not only is he a were-octopus, but also she is a were-octopus. What a way to find out. And also in the were-octopus community, females are outnumbered 5,000 to 1 by males, and therefore males are super sexually aggressive. Do you want a clue?
Hang on a second. Let me just get the maths on this. Females are outnumbered by men 5,000
to 1.
And these are all were-octopuses.
Were-octopuses.
Okay. Keep going.
Okay. The clue, they have were-octopus sex in which only their bottom half changes.
It's a thinker. The vibe in the chat is Dancy, and the fact that it has tentacles, and we should maybe talk about the artwork for the book. I'm saying Dancy.
You've been led astray by the octopus people of New Zealand. This is a real book. This is a real book. It's called Passionate Ink. It's got 3 stars on Goodread out of 5. It is number 1 in the Tentacles Shifter series by Jan Springer. Passionate Ink. Real book.
Passionate Ink. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. I'd give it a go.
You'd give it a shot. All right. Final question. Violet needs a job to help her pay her bills until she can find work in her chosen profession. When she sees a job posting at the Morning Glory farm, she decides to take a chance on it as it pays well, even if she's hesitant about the actual work. The work entails milking minotaurs, which is to say, giving hand jobs to minotaurs to collect their sperm.
Yeah, because
for a pharmaceutical company.
Sorry, what era is this set in?
Modern day.
So modern day minotaurs.
Minotaur milking for a pharmaceutical company.
Okay.
She starts to get feelings towards one of the clients, who's an out of her league minotaur with abs for miles.
Of course, miles of them.
A surprisingly sweet read. This is very heavy on the romance. I mean, the first half is mainly technical descriptions of how to get good at giving efficient minotaur hand jobs, but then it gets quite romantic.
I have questions.
Yes.
I mean, now at least I know where the concept for Red Bull came from.
Red Bull gives you wanks.
That's actually still what they call it in lots of markets. We're so prudish over here. I've lost all confidence. What does everyone say? So there's a real it's split. The audience is split. I think it's narrowly leading Dancy.
You are incorrect. That is Morning Glory Milking Farm, which apparently is very sweet. I've not yet read it. It's book 1 in the Monster Bait series of supernatural milking romances.
Is bait B-A-T-E or B-A-I-T?
B-A-I-T. And they're not that heavy-handed.
Okay, I was going to say.
By C.M. Nascosta, Morning Glory Milking Farm.
Well, there we go. That sounds lovely. I'm also loving the already 15 different spellings we've had of Dancy.
So the reason that I chose the name Dancy Lagard was because I thought, what is the most ridiculous name? And the reason I chose that spelling was genuinely, this is last post times. We were all mad. We were all in lockdown. And I thought, what is going to entertain me to write down? Because no one is ever going to see this written down. So, but I will know that it has an apostrophe in it. I didn't realize I was creating a future massive Google problem for myself.
Richard asks, how many books were there in the Monster Mate series again?
I don't know actually. You'll have to
You'll have to Google it.
it.
Yeah,
I didn't do my deep research, I'm afraid.
We would like some questions for you. We're gonna play another little game in a minute, but it would be really good to get some questions that you'd like to ask Alice about the Bugle or anything really, the book, Realms Unknown, the Gargle. And just a reminder as well that A Passion for Passion is on sale today. This is a real copy. Do the noise thing again.
Oh yeah.
It's real. And there is a link in the description here where you can buy your own copy. I've seen a few people have been posting that their copies have arrived. So please do get on board. Thank you. It is top of the chat as well. There we go. Lovely stuff, Martin. Shall we play another game?
Yes.
Or would you like to do a reading? What would you prefer to do first?
I'm happy to do either of those things.
Let's do a little quick bit from the book first.
All right, I'll do a quick bit from the book. This is answering the question: are you a romance heroine? Which is a question that we all ask ourselves. Before we collectively bite our lower lip and plunge tenderly into the quivering body of this work, I urge you to situate yourself within the genre by discovering if you are a romance heroine or not. Romance heroines. What even is one, and are you she? If you're wondering if you know someone who's a romance heroine, or are suddenly suspecting while being kissed in a hedge, fingered against a wall, or pressed up against a massive erection on a horse, that you might be a romance heroine, here are some good rules of thumb. Part of this process of elimination will be determined by whether you live in the past, the present, the future, or a fantasy realm. Different levels of sassiness, competence, and violence are likely to apply. Question 1. If you are living in the Regency period, you can basically assume you are a romance heroine. The period seems to be entirely peopled by incredibly attractive people fraughtly falling in love with one another over fluttering fans in manors, ballrooms, or Bath. If you are, however, living in the Victorian period, you are probably a romance heroine, but you may also be a ragged lady trying to feed a bottle of gin to a baby. Your lot in life is to mistrustfully open a door to give someone directions. Check your person for bottles of gin to triangulate. If you find yourself looking in the mirror, cataloguing your features as though someone might be listening to your inner monologue and imagining exactly what kind of hot you are. Same old flaming hair and boring violet eyes. You remember how your brothers used to tease you for the sprinkling of golden freckles across your pert nose. But no matter how beautiful you are in the mirror, you must never be aware of your own beauty. If you know you're beautiful, I don't know if you know this, Chris, but if you are aware of your own beauty, you're probably a villain. Or you could be a beautiful but selfish little sister due for a reckoning, probably by seeing your plain but sensible sister run off with and win the heart of a marquis. If you're not stunningly beautiful, you could have horrible disfiguring scars that are actually quite superficial and do nothing to disguise your inner beauty. You are almost certainly, if you're a romance heroine, in your mid-20s. But if you're not in your mid-20s, whatever age you are, be assured you don't look it.
She looks so good for her age.
Yeah, she looks amazing. Even if you're captured in a horrible dungeon with no water for washing, you'll come out looking quite good and bangable and will be on board with a full-on makeout session surprisingly quickly, regardless of trauma. The problem is there's so many footnotes in this book.
It is proper Lord of the Rings level footnotes.
I wasn't sure whether I should be reading the footnotes, but I'll save them for you.
That's you.
That's you. I was talking to you, not him. I don't talk to him. These is an audiobook wise. People keep asking about the audiobook, but I feel because it came from podcast to book, the book would have to be very successful for me to want to translate it back into audio, if you know what I mean. It's like if they made a movie of The Lion King the musical.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah, we should do that.
You say that though, but they've made a movie of Matilda the musical. So Matilda was a book.
Yeah.
Then Matilda was a film.
Yeah.
Then Matilda was a musical.
Yeah.
And then Matilda was a film of the musical.
And now they're going to do a book of the film of the musical.
There you go. And I think we can do the same as that. Consider yourselves the Bugle's Tim Minchin.
Thank you. I look if genuinely if we sell enough copies, but I think it's I think this book is. I mean, I love it, but it is very niche. It's, uh, it's mainly I imagine Bugle fans, and the crossover between Bugle fans and romance fans is limited.
I don't know. You're a romantic bunch, aren't you?
Yes. Well, we've got Fuck You, Chris, Love You Really. That's called Enemies to Lovers, that trope.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Mark. Okay, your words are something. Yeah, I want to see gestures. That's my love language. Okay. There's a couple of questions we'll get to before we do another game. I would like to know what your take is, and we've been asked here, and it's kind of not directly related. Star Wars.
Yes.
There is heroes,
Yes.
heroines.
Yes.
There are people, if it wasn't so PG, would be banging in caves.
Yes.
It's
the
not-
trash compactor. Get a quickie in.
It's somewhere between sci-fi and fantasy.
Yep.
It's got a very weird romance in it.
Mhm.
Where do you stand on Star Wars?
I like it. I enjoyed it. I don't know. I probably watched more Star Trek, but there is more Star Trek to watch. I mean,
There
this
is
was
a lot of Star Trek to watch.
before the Disney acquisition of Star Wars. I think they might be rivaling each other now
Yeah,
with all
yeah.
of the spin-off series.
Okay, well there you go, Martin. We've got a take on Star Wars now. You can put any price on the book if you hit me over the head with it, according to Charlie.
Oh, really?
I mean,
This copy, as in you want to get this, I'll hit. I think I've got a line here. I don't think I'm willing to do performative violence for
You know what?
cheering masses.
I've been told to fuck
Make
myself on this show. Verbally, on email,
Oh,
like on socials,
Maybe-
thousands and thousands and thousands of times, but never once has a bugler, co-host or listener, physically assaulted me.
that's a nice thing.
Yeah.
That's the nicest thing I've heard today.
And so Charlie was challenging. Hang on, I've got this chest infection.
Yeah.
keeps going.
I have not. I don't think I would hit Chris with a book, even if you were to spend a lot of money on the book afterwards. But also, I may now have to write a Dancy in which Chris, the producer, fucks himself.
Hey, look, if that's what the punters want,
that might be edging into Chuck Tingle territory.
how do you feel about Dancy fan fiction? There's been a bit already, hasn't there?
Yeah, so part of the original idea for this book was that I ran a Dancy Lagard literary tribute competition in 2021, and we got like 60 entries for it, and they were all really funny except for one which was quite racist. And basically the original idea for the book was that I would just publish those as an ebook. There's a little bit too much editing in there for it, but I still might do that maybe because they're very funny. Or maybe I'll just run another Dancy Lagard literary tribute competition.
I mean, if you don't get round to like actually turning some of these synopses into full books, then at least you've given, character, an element of plot for the fanfic guys to
Yeah,
take
I am.
a bit of this
I'm all for fan fiction. I think it's really fun. I think there's one fan fiction that exists of me on the internet, and I think that is not enough.
Yeah, agree.
As someone who read far too much fan fiction in my teenage years, that's what fame looks like to me.
Two quick questions before we play another little game. First of all, this is from Kenta. I like this one. How well does the Twin Peaks soundtrack go with this book?
Ooh, I think this book is slightly too likely to unanchor you from reality to be paired. I think that would be a risky pairing. I feel like that might be contraindicated. That might be the alcohol and antibiotics of combinations.
We had a Baroque soundtrack as we came on stage last night.
Yeah,
I think that's an appropriate companion.
I wonder how many cool modern string quartets are called Baroque and roll.
Yeah. Oh, like if there are 100, that's 99 too many. We'll do one more question before we play a game. This is from Rich. Can I ask how hard it was to come up with categories for each book? They are so funny, and so there are like many subgenres picked up. Like we mentioned romance. We mentioned fantasy. There's a bit of steampunk going on there. Talk to us about all that.
So basically, there's been a massive flowering of romance, which sort of has traditionally, if you have like a cultural critique of romance, it's been very heteronormative and very white.
Mm.
You have a few sort of big stalwart kind of people who've broken that mold, people like KJ Charles and Beverly Jenkins, who have opened up the genre. But like basically, the internet is what has opened these incredible subgenres. And you find them online. They're just more and more and more and more specific, more different kinds of people, more different kinds of fantasies, more different kinds of sex. And coming up with the categories was just a tribute to the fact that you can go online and find just whatever you want, but enemies to lovers, hockey, male romance set on a spaceship.
Yeah.
Like you can find that if you. I mean, I don't know that you can, but you find
No, you
Morning
can.
Glory.
There's an Emily Tesh book that's got that's got it was out a year or two ago. It's absolutely fantastic. I wonder if it's up here. It's got it's super queer. It's super space travel.
Yeah.
And it's super hot guys banging on spaceships as well.
Yep. Yeah, there was one that just you can find almost anything, and I think it's an extraordinary thing. So part of coming up with all of the dances is trying to get back to that place of giggling hysteria with my brother. That's psychologically, I can't write a dancey unless it actually makes me laugh, which maybe is an indictment on the rest of my jokes. Most of my other jokes don't make me laugh out loud. But that's the test.
That's good enough for the Bugle.
But I'll often like text the dancey synopsis to my brother, and he'll reply, "Grow up."
Nope.
Never.
Let's play. So please do keep the questions coming in. We'll do a few more in a little while. I'd like to play a game. I believe you've entitled this game "He Thrust His." ... Please, I urge you guys to play along at home.
Yes, please play along at home. What I've done here is I have taken real sex scenes. These are real sex scenes that have been written, that are existing in the world, in books that have been bought and sold. And I would like you to guess what the next word is. And I will tell you afterwards if you're right. This is excerpt number 1. This moment, when it was him and me and nothing between our bodies, his tongue scraped the blank of my blank as he dragged a finger down the center of me. His tongue scraped the blank of my blank. What is it?
Bottom of my soap dish. That's horribly euphemistic.
Nope.
Roof of my mouth.
Yes, Nick.
Oh,
that Nick Denny has been. I feel that's cheating.
Back of my leg.
No, it is roof of my mouth. It's from A
yeah.
Court of Thorns and Roses. Yeah. Sexy.
Some people are getting an advert right now. Are you all there? Are you getting told to
I didn't know they did ads in live streams.
Neither did I, but like 3 people have just said it. Rim of my toilet bowl. Very good.
This next one, this next excerpt, I'm really sorry that you guys got ads. This is why I started running ads in the first place. I feel weird about ads.
Sorry, just before you do, Nick's actually apologizing now for getting it right.
Is it that you've just read A Court of Thorns and Roses recently, or that was natural to you, Nick? I need to know. Or did you Google it? We have to find out. I think this is very strange that they're running ads.
Yeah. Well, thank you for whoever it is who just ran that advert.
Sadly natural
for the 1 cent that we'll probably get for that.
Okay, excerpt number 2. I bet you won't. Okay. Eliza and Ezra rolled together into one giggling snowball of full-figured copulation, screaming and shouting as they playfully bit and pulled at each other in a dangerous and clamorous roller coaster coil of sexually violent rotation, with Eliza's breast blank across Ezra's howling mouth. With Eliza's breasts blank across Ezra's howling mouth.
Unexpectedly laughing.
Any other guesses? Heaving and creamy, very nice. Slapping noisily.
Yeah.
Draped is very nice.
Yeah.
Bounced fruitfully. Yeah. Flipping violently. No, barrel rolled.
Barrel roll is such a funny term.
Yep.
Big fan of that.
And the pained frenzy of his bulbous salutation extenuating his excitement as it whacked and smacked its way into every muscle of Eliza's body except for the otherwise central zone. That piece of prose brought to you by Morrissey, who won a Bad Sex Award for that. It's his debut novel, List of the Lost.
Well, thanks for that, Morrissey. Quivering slowly, says MC Hopi. Better than Morrissey.
Is slow mode at your end?
Oh, yeah, people
I'm
can only
being
comment every
impaired
30
here.
seconds, that's all.
So that they don't.
I think it's to stop the spam people. The spam people? Are you one of the spam people?
The robots. They're coming for us. Well, I'll try and pause longer so that people have time to reply then.
Sure.
Excerpt number 3, the final. Katsuro moaned as a bulge formed beneath the material of his kimono. Remember, these are real. A bulge that Miyuki blanked, and blanked. That is, Miyuki blanked, and blanked. What are the 5 words there?
Pop locked and dropped it. Yeah, that's. I can only think that's going to be quite grim. Let's see what
the chat has to say. Someone says spam, moi. I think it's pronounced sperm. Saw, heard, smelled, touched, tasted. Very nice.
Yeah.
Whacked, smacked, whacked yet again. Smack it, bop it, pull it, twisted. The last 2,
Wow.
Dan Linden, folded, rolled, swizzles, and flattened. Actually, you are all almost entirely right. The answer is seized, kneaded, massaged, squashed, and crushed. It goes on with the fondling. Katsuro's penis and testicles became one single mound that rolled around beneath the grip of her hand. Miyuki felt as though she were manipulating a small monkey that was curling up its paws.
It's like Play-Doh sex.
It's from the Office of Gardens and Ponds by Didier Decoin in 2019.
Stop writing, Didier.
I feel like that's a teenage boy being asked whether he's had sex.
Yeah, of course I have. Yeah, she just grabbed this bit here and that bit there and just squished him up, threw him over her shoulder.
She just mushed it all together. Real good.
Well, that is truly horrifying.
Terrible.
And I don't think you'll see anything quite as X-rated in
no.
Dancy Lagard.
I feel like I have this reputation among the buglers for being really filthy, but I don't think I am more filthy. I just think I'm more specific than other people. So a lot of people will say, shit and balls and bullshit, but I'm just specific about the filth.
Yeah.
I don't think infected testicle hair is more explicit than bullshit.
No, it's not.
It's just more specific.
No, I mean, and it's you would argue something that's more appropriate to use when talking to a doctor.
I mean, it's less. I mean, objectively less rude than fuck.
Definitely.
So I think I talk about rudeness, but I'm not rude.
No, I'm just anatomically correct with my cusses.
Someone says I'm beginning to understand why Alice loves romance stuff.
Yeah, well, if you're into ball squishing, if you're into barrel rolling boobies,
maybe Alice gets bleeped less often, so we hear the full extent of her filth, which is a mark of me being less filthy. Thank you, Rich.
Yeah,
John.
That's a good point, actually. I mean, I do often struggle with there's been quite a debate on the Bugle, and it sort of resurfaces every year or two about the use of the bleeps. Now, the C's, I'm quite comfortable keeping them bleeped because I know for some people they're a real red line for various reasons. And
whereas I'm from Australia, where you get offended if you don't say.
Well, this is it, and I appreciate there are many opinions, but I still think hearing a little C, then a beep, and then a T is still funny. I still think that's funny.
Another car ad. I mean, I wish they'd tell us when they're running ads. Are we meant to pause, or do they just speed us up afterwards? Or
I think you should not buy that last car ad.
Yeah,
whatever that car was.
Go fuck yourself, car.
Yeah. How many wheels have you got? You haven't got 18, have you? Like abs of our heroes.
The beeps are funnier than the word would be. It makes me laugh every time. I agree. Oh, here's a little inside baseball. Do you want me to tell you an inside baseball thing? Dancy Lagard, in this entire book, I have managed to not tell you whether Dancy Lagard is man or a woman or other.
Mm.
I've managed to get through an entire book about Dancy Lagard and avoid gendering entirely, because this is off the bleeps thing.
Mhm.
Because I think it's funnier that nobody knows. I
Yeah.
think it's funnier that just Dancy is like this enigmatic figure that nobody has any idea about. Like that's the hierarchy is funniest if Dancy Lagard is a complete mystery to everyone. Second funniest if Dancy Lagard is a massive biker dude. Third funniest, other options.
Yeah, all other options. Yeah.
Yeah, all other options less funny.
I can't imagine that people are going to be writing in and say, yeah, that's all well and good, Alice. But actually, my daughter, Dancy, takes great offense. Dancy is a girl's name. Oh. My young son, Dancy.
They're a were-octopus. Yeah, we must imagine them in a superposition of all possible genders. Yeah, and it is fascinating the people who will come and be like, oh, yes, Dancy, he, blah, blah, blah. A friend of mine who's a male author was like, oh, he's blah, blah, blah. And then people immediately assume.
I mean, I have to say, until you corrected me early in the Dancy days, and then I've repeatedly forgotten, I always assumed Dancy, because of the genre that Dancy writes in, to be a female.
Yeah,
More
there you
for
go.
me.
I think I might once have accidentally said a he, but
Okay,
in a read, but that was a slip of the tongue, and not a deliberate gendering. And that's not a political point. I thought, again, as with so many of my jokes, like the half a glass of water joke, I just thought, I wonder if I can get away with this. Who's to say what even genders even exist in that dimension? Exactly, we don't know. I'm trying to figure out for the tour show how to get Dancy in via portal.
There's a Kurt Vonnegut book, isn't there, that says that there's 9 genders. All humans are 9 genders, but humans are too stupid to have worked that out, and they think there's only 2. and it's there's a bit that goes on about the roles that all the 9 genders play in procreation, and that humans haven't even worked out that's happening. I'm sure that's Kurt Vonnegut. Someone might correct me.
Well, I just think if you think about gender for any length of time, you're like, just sort of breaks your brain. I tend to sort of think, my attitude is, does anyone really know what it is to be a woman? And then you see someone who's got eyelashes on the headlights of their car and you go, oh, she knows. Or you see Joe Rogan and you're like, oh, he's doing it really hard all the time. So, it's very important for people, but it just doesn't occur to me that it's one of the interesting things about me.
No, or Dancy.
Or Dancy. As Helen Zaltzman says, I'm gender unsubscribed.
Yeah.
Which I think is fun.
Yeah, that's nice. It's nice. Shall we I think we're getting close to the end, but I would like to hear some more from the book.
Yes.
I don't know what you would like to do in particular. Take your pick.
We can do a build your own Dancy, or we can do the Fem Falcon. What do you reckon? Why don't you read the Fem Falcon?
Oh, I'd love to.
I feel like this is a very feminist one. I feel it will be best in the voice of a man.
Right. Okay. The Fem Falcon. Hello. America historical. The Fem Falcon. American noir feminism.
If you're looking for it.
This is the 34th in Lagard's groundbreaking series of feminist detective historical romance noir thrillers with a supernatural twist. Dames up to hear. The Fem Falcon is set in the black and white period of American history and follows the story of Hilda Blank, a gritty female detective dame with legs up to her hips with a taste for violent vigilantism. Hilda Blank is a hard-bitten ex-cop's ex-wife, detectiving the mean streets of supernatural Chicago to make ends meet. She has a lust for justice and a mean right hook. She spends her nights fighting crime and her days sassily smoking cigarettes while sensually fondling her extremely phallic gun and waiting for crime o'clock. She's getting up until, here we go, she's getting by until Gramian walks into her life.
Gramian, best name.
Gramian.
Gramian and Balenthian have to be up there among my favourites.
Was there Lonathan earlier on?
There was Blavid.
Gramian, a doe-eyed Sam with lips up to here and a face to match. That is something I would challenge an artist to draw. He has a mysterious past, a wizard mob family, and an ancient spellbook, $16 in coins, and amnesia. They immediately have extremely consensual feminist sex, and then Gramian cries cries manlily while Hildeblank holds him and fondles her gun.
That's the most feminist kind of sex.
Yeah, it is. Hildeblank, the gun is essential to that. Hildeblank must keep Gramian to reclaim his memories and his rightful place as a mafia wizard prince while they explore their passionate connection all over the desk. Until they find out that Gramian is betrothed to be married to a different mafia wizard gang to broker a mafia peace. This is way above Hildeblank's pay grade, but she demands and gets a pay raise so the plot can continue. Very good. When Gramian is kidnapped by his betrothed hench thugs, Hildeblank must dive into the dark side of her feminine power, which is just to the left of the G-spot, to rescue the man she's rapidly realizing she loves, but in an empowering way. A moving feminist masterpiece with a heartbreaking cameo from Hildeblank's godmother, the revenant ghost of Mary Wollstonecraft. The Fem Falcon is available in all feminist bookstores and tampon dispensing machines in women's public toilets. That's a lovely piece of work.
Thank you. It feels so real when you read it.
I think the IP on that oozes to me 10-part series on HBO.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, please. I would love that.
I'm commissioning season 1 and 2 straight off the bat.
Yeah. And then you can do that thing that they did in Game of Thrones. I have a friend who's a writer on Game of Thrones, and they used to call it sexposition. Whenever they had a particularly boring bit of exposition to do, they'd just do it with some tits out. But now she's working...
Look at this map. Ignore the lady walking past with the breasts.
Well, now she's working on House of Dragons, and even though they have an enormous budget, the dragons themselves cost like $100,000 a minute to do, and so a lot of her job is just trying to figure out ways to be like, "My lord, there was some dragons here a minute ago." Shakespeare style. Yeah.
Right, we're almost done. We're almost done.
Gone blurry again.
We have gone blurry.
That's because you put up the book.
Oh, I did.
You
Focus on the book.
Focus on the book. Now we just make the book into my face.
There we go. There we go.
Upside down.
Nice question here. What's your fascination with Isambard Kingdom Brunel?
I don't think Isambard Kingdom Brunel gets enough credit.
No.
I also think he'd be nice. He's sort of a nice godfather figure to have.
What 3 great names they are as well. Like, someone gets a quirky. I've got a really good friend. He's got a really normal name, but his middle name is Fouloir. And I like the fact that Isambard Kingdom Brunel, they went in all 3. They're like, we've got a big surname straight off. Yeah, straight off the bat, named after a university.
Yeah,
and so let's just throw in 2 excellent ones.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's mainly just because I think it's a funny name to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, also I am a fan of. I went to the Isambard Kingdom Brunel Museum. It's got a giant Isambard Kingdom Brunel head in it.
Why?
I don't know.
It's a bit Severus.
Yeah.
Is it got like a replica of Paddington Station as well? Any of his works?
Yeah. It's got little replicas of various works.
Yeah.
It's an odd combination of it's got some things that are really cool in there, but some things that look sort of desperately under budgeted.
We give it 5 stars.
It's an experience.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, I will take the kids on a really rainy day.
Yeah.
So we should probably. I think we're pretty close to wrapping this up now. I do like Jeff's suggestion. Can we have an Andy pun run on the names in A Passion for Passion? The problem is, Jeff, you're not gonna. I mean, you struggle to get what the names are anyway in this.
Yeah, true.
You're just going to be adding more made up names onto made up names. I did like the fact that we get referred to here as Krallis, which does sound like a good.
Yeah, that is a good name.
Krallis didn't know whether they were the comedian or the producer. They just
half comedian, half producer.
I think we should finish on a little bit of you reading a section from the book.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Or you can do another game from the book. What would you prefer? I mean, it's your
Let's do the game. Let's do the game so that people can. I'm going to put it in the hands of the audience. And then which is this is a build your own Dancy section of the book.
So should we just yell out for people to start giving us some numbers?
Yeah, give me 4. I need 4 numbers. First 4 numbers in the chat between 1 and 20 are going to be how we put this together. So here is a list of different
1 and 20. Someone's already first number suggested 111.
All right,
thanks very much.
All right, okay, we have enough.
Okay.
7, 18, 14, and 7. So 7. So the first column is the love arc. Between you've got friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, frenemies to lovers, bodyguard to lovers, marriage of convenience, fake relationship to satisfy social expectations, stuck together, forbidden love, best friend's brother, brother's best friend, noble guard captain or protector, love triangle, love octagon, amnesia, sold the hero by profligate relative in a losing game of chance, Christmas redemption of big city sociopath, amnesia, post-military PTSD to lovers, pipeline, and reluctant quest partners and royalty in disguise to lovers. Those are the options. And we've gone with number 7, which is stuck together. So our love arc is that they are stuck together in some situation. They are trapped. Number 2, the option is they bang. Number 2 is they bang because either a storm or other thing forces them to share a bed. Classic. Must bang to live. Good. They have a fight and the tension breaks their iron self-control. Someone's clothes get wet or ripped.
Obviously.
They must pretend to smooch to distract pursuers.
Good.
Which is a subclass of must bang to live, I think, sometimes. Fate requires it. One or both of them receive an aphrodisiac drug. One of them loses a bet. Will someone rid me of this troublesome virginity? An explosion throws one of them on top of the other. They are stuck in a cupboard, healing from an injury. They must consummate a marriage of convenience. Their captors demand they bang as part of a depraved sex show. More common than you would think. His inner wolf must lay claim to its fated mate. He wins the championship. It's 1/3 or 2/3 of the way through the book. She doesn't think she's beautiful and he can't use words to prove how beautiful she is to him, so he uses his penis. They both suddenly accidentally both find out they're both gay. Or one of them has a nightmare and the other must investigate. And we've gone with 18, which is she doesn't think she's beautiful and he can't use words to prove how beautiful she is to him, so uses his penis, which is excellent.
Happens all the time.
Happens just 100% of the time. So you're stuck together and she's convinced she's hideous. It's set in, what was number 14? It's set in... on the road, alone in nature, away from the troublesome mores of their restrictive society. Very nice.
Okay.
And
Works.
finally, the villain options are: the villain is debonair, the villain is society, the villain is an effete lordling, a brutish lord, a spurned suitor, a jealous ex-lover, an evil secret society, your own moral code, the war, the empire, a vampire council, the werewolf mafia, the normal mafia, an inability to communicate, a dark secret from his past, a dark secret from her past, the belief that she cannot have children, that's Bridgerton. His refusal to have children because of his belief that he'll be a bad father because his parents were distant or abusive, misunderstanding, his pride, her prejudice. And the answer is 17. His refusal to have children because of his belief that he will be a bad father because his parents were distant and abusive. So they are stuck together.
Yep.
And she doesn't think she's beautiful and they're on the road. Stinking.
Yeah. So this works. That works.
So he has to bang her to prove that she is beautiful, because otherwise she'll have a nervous breakdown. But also he can't get her pregnant.
Okay.
And then inevitably, she will get pregnant, and then he will run away, and then he'll have to come back to her and prove that he loves her more than he hates his parents.
Oh, Gramian. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That is a choose your own adventure from inside A Passion for Passion.
Yes, that is. You can have it. It's in there. Oh, I was going to say that I was going to do a quiz from the thing. That's what I was going to do. I was going to do a quiz rather than a choose your own adventure. Never mind. You can do the quiz yourself.
Well, if you're a patron.
I wonder who. Okay, here's a question for the chat before we go. Who here is just here for shits and giggles? Who won't buy the book? Who hasn't bought the book? You don't have to own up if you don't want to. I'm assuming you're book buyers. I bought 5.
Brilliant.
Who does think they're beautiful when you've been on the road for a while? To be honest, fair, very fair. I feel like being on the road is one of those things that's good to have been. Honestly, me, Martin has not. Martin has just been our troubleshooter, though. I feel like you've earned your place.
Yeah.
I haven't yet pre-ordered. I bought it in the first 4 days before it was funded, waiting for a former pre-order to arrive, pre-ordered day 1. So I think, that this was one of the things that was the hardest actually for me to be straight up, was realizing how long it was going to take to get into people's hands. There was something like really psychologically difficult for me about having promised people something and taken their money and then just being like, I don't know when it's going to be at you, like, and just realizing that there's this whole process, which is
18 months.
obvious. It's just Dunning-Kruger. I was like, how hard can it be to make a book happen?
I like the fact that people sort of parted with their cash, and now all of a sudden they're getting these nice treats sort of popping into their inbox.
Yeah.
This week, I think it's lovely.
I love hearing the descriptions, but it's not a book for me. There you go.
Yeah.
It's good to have self-knowledge.
It is. I respect you, Gus.
So you fall outside the Venn diagram of the people for whom I wrote this book, which is either people who love romance or people who don't know why other people like romance.
Also, your name Gusnarp, though, does appear to be like the name of a henchman in one of your stories.
I paid a dedication to Chris. Choose your own adventure. We'll order from local bookseller. Yes, that's something that you can do. You can order it from a local bookseller. Apparently, that makes a difference.
Bookshop.org, which is the why. I mean, you can get it from everywhere, but that's why I put their link in our chat, because that's an online international shop, but it does link to people's local sellers.
Oh, excellent. Haven't yet bought it, but fully intend to. Hopefully there'll be a library copy in with the Mills and Boons. They're going to shelve it in literary criticism, because one of the things about this cover was I wanted a classic clinch cover, but that we kind of negotiated a compromise on that, because they thought if it was too much like a clinch cover, people would think it was an actual romance novel and be upset that it wasn't. So literary criticism in with like eats, shoots, and leaves.
It works.
Yeah,
I mean, it works.
Sure. It's not lit crit. There's a bunch of sort of essays in there about, why vampires sexy, and the I get my like secretly sneak some nerd shit in there.
Yeah.
I did my undergraduate thesis on romance novels.
I thought you were going to say specifically on why vampires are sexy.
I did it on Georgette Hare to be.
Yeah. Well, you should bring that back out. I'm sure you've got it saved on.
Dust it off somewhere on an old computer. Yeah.
Thank you everybody for doing this. So if you're an Alice patronizer, you're doing something on your Patreon later, is that
yes
right?
Oh yeah, if you're a Patreon, I'm at 9:30 p.m. UK time, I'll be running just a little Patreon party for my Patreon people, which you are welcome to join as well. You can join the Patreon. It's not just a supporting me thing. I also run twice weekly workshops, writers workshops, if you're writing comedy or anything else. We've got academics, we've got novelists, and you can get that. I think at the moment it's still $1 a month, so you can get 8 workshops a month.
You've got 5% up. You've got to move that by 5%, inflation rates and everything.
Yeah, $1.20 a month.
Well, do that.
Yeah,
become a patron of Alice and buy the book. And if you're not already a Bugle subscriber, other than the weird car adverts we've been getting in this, we don't run adverts on the Bugle.
No.
So why don't you support us? And we do have now a new £500 a year elite tier where you get to sit in on the record and co-produce an episode.
Oh yeah, we had somebody come in and do that once.
Well, we did it once a few years ago and then forgot it. He was lovely, and then we forgot it existed, and I've just reintroduced it. So,
well, what you should do is you should offer people to pay you an enormous amount of money to come do the edit for you.
God, that's a much better idea. What's wrong with me? Congratulations on the book.
Thank you. I'm delighted. I just to kind of be super honest, I'm one of those people who, like, people have said, oh, you should write a book since I was about 16. And I've never had I've always thought, oh, I just don't have the self-discipline, or I've never had the guts, or I've been like intimidated out of it, like by the idea that it has to be really good. And like, first of all, doing the last post that year proved to me that I can do a major work as long as like there's a deadline. When doing that it was just, 366 days of comedy. It completely got rid of my imposter syndrome. And the second thing is that this is so silly that I couldn't get intimidated by it, because it was just so, it's like so ridiculous that I had to do it because it was funny, rather than this idea that I had to, it has to be perfect. So I'm really grateful actually to the Bugle for making me get over myself.
Well, we love having you around and love being part of your therapy and personal journey. And thank you everybody for being a part of this. We will talk to you very soon.